Game Girl Review. My name's Kristen, and I do game reviews. The person sitting across from me is going to be asking me questions about particular games I'll be reviewing. Her name, as of right now, is PinkIris. She wishes to stay a secret until further notice.
I don't want to be my face on the internet as of right now.
So, until she feels comfortable with that, it'll just be me and Tails and maybe some other plushies eventually. So the first one we're going to discuss is Dragon Age. Miss PinkIris is going to be asking us questions, or asking me. I guess we can include Tails in this, but I don't think he's going to be answering.
Because I'm pretty poor, and also I'm in college right now, I don't have a lot of time to play games. Plus, I'm pretty terrible at games in general. So, I'm going to ask Kristen about them, and she's going to tell me all about them. And then she tells me about them, you're going to hear about them too. Yay! Education!
Yay!
Okay, so, my first question is just what's the general gist of the game, obviously.
The gist of Dragon Age is you are a character, or a person, or whatever you want to call yourself. But you're a character in this world, and you have your own unique backstory depending on what race you choose. And you end up being picked up by Duncan, who is the commander of the Grey Wardens. And after that, you end up becoming a Grey Warden yourself.
What is a Grey Warden?
A Grey Warden is the only person or type of person that can kill what are called the Darkspawn. And those are the bad guys, the evil monsters that you have to defeat.
So this is the main general story of the game, is about these bad guys and the Grey Wardens, or?
There's a lot more to it than that. The Grey Wardens have to accumulate a mass, an army, that can destroy the Darkspawn, because the Darkspawn are trying to take over the world. They go around to the different sections or peoples of the world. The dwarves, the elves, the magi, the humans. And they are like, hey, we need your help to, fight off these evil creatures that want to kill everybody.
So, how does that whole, character and class kind of come together?
So the races are human, elves, or dwarves, and those are the ones that you can play. The humans can either be, when you choose to play a human, you're either a human noble, or you're a human as a magi. And those are the only two you can choose from. If you are an elf, you are either a city elf, which was raised, their forefathers were raised from slavery in the city, and now they just live in the city as the poor commoners. Or you can play as a Dalish elf, which are a group of elves that caravan around the world throughout the forests. When it comes to the dwarves, you can play as a commoner, dwarf, or a castless, and they're the same thing as a city elf. They're just poor and homeless, and no one likes them. Or you can play as the noble, and that
forever lone face.
And a noble is very highly prestiged in the dwarven city of Orzammar.
Okay. So, when it comes to classes, what different kinds of classes are there?
There's technically only 3 types of classes. There's a warrior, a mage, or a rogue. And then there's different subsets of each of those. So under warrior, there's Templar or Berserker. Under mage, there's blood mage, or a regular mage, or an animal mage. And then there's a rogue. You can be an assassin or an archer rogue.
Okay. So, are these decided by you, or is there, a leveling up system?
You get to choose which one you're going to be at the beginning. Obviously, if you choose a dwarf, you can't be a mage, because dwarves don't have any magic.
No magi for you, dwarves. Punch in the face.
So in the opening screen, when you're looking at your choices, and you click, oh, I want to be a dwarf, and I want to be a commoner, and then once you get to the bottom, it lets you choose your class.
Okay, so, how are the quests and, the journeys or everything? Are they, abnormally long, or are they short, too short? Are they good sizes?
There's always a good mix. It's not exactly open world. Instead, you get a map, and you choose what kind of parts you want to go to.
So if you're looking for like an open world game, you're not looking at Dragon Age, really?
You're not streamlined. So you get to choose where you get to go, but you don't get to walk there.
Alright,
You just kind of hop there
and
on your map.
You were telling me a little bit before this about how your like character classes and everything on your quests will change the way that people look at you. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. So depending on what you choose, I'll use a castless dwarf as an example. Once you return to Orzammar, which is an underground city where the dwarves live, and most dwarves never see daylight, they don't leave Orzammar. So when you return, they already know who you are. And so they're like, you're that castless person, that whatever you did, and they're kind of mad at you because you did something they didn't like.
Oh,
and most people treat you that way. But if you choose something else, say you're a human, and you go to Orzammar, they'll treat you like you're just some crazy surfacer who decided to come down. So depending on what you are, always changes the story.
Okay, that sounds slightly amusing, I'm sure.
It's very amusing.
Plenty of things. What the heck are you doing down here, human? How does the leveling up system work?
So the leveling up system is, I think, fairly complex. You get experience, your experience tallies up until you level. Once you level, you get a certain amount of experience points, and you can spend those points in the different attributes. And those attributes are strength, dexterity, willpower, magic, cunning, and constitution. Generally, per level, you get about 3 or 4 points, and then you can put them wherever you want.
So, like, leveling up and earning XP, does that take a normally long time? Do you have to go out and grind for a while, or, like, is it kind of evenly dispersed throughout the game?
It depends on how you play. There's different ways of earning XP. It's generally just go out and kill stuff, but you can also do quests, and there's quests in different cities. There's usually a quest board that the Templars put up, and you go and you just grab one of them and you run around and accomplish the quest, return, you get money and you get experience. But generally, it's just doing the story quests, and those are generally really long, depending on which part you're in.
You don't like running around for hours trying to find shit.
Yeah.
Not your cup of tea.
If you want to level quickly, I suggest going to the cities and going to the quest boards and just grabbing them all, going and filling them all out, and then returning, getting your money and your experience. If you don't like doing that and you just kind of want to play for the story, then just sort of skip those and just jump straight into the storyline.
Are there any, like, negative aspects to the quests and the storyline that you...
I think the biggest down point is talking to people when it comes to certain quests, because then you have to sit there and listen to them, and then you have to answer their question hoping that you got it right, and if you get it wrong, then you have to go away for a while and return occasionally.
So they do actually get, like, mad at you?
Oh yeah, they can get mad at you, and not want to talk to you for a while, or you may have to reload. It depends on how you talk to them. You get different options when you're talking to someone, like I'm talking to PinkIris right now. If we were in Dragon Age, she would be talking to me and she would say blah 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 blah. And after she had finished talking...
I actually talk like that.
Well, after she finished talking, a little cue would come up and it would give me options on what I could respond to her with. And you, of course, read them. I always read them out loud like a geek, and I'm like, well, this is how I would say this. I think I would say
Get
that.
away from me. Does that affect gameplay, or, like, how does the combat system work? I haven't asked you about that yet at all.
The easiest way to describe it is that you have your main character, and then you have 3 other party members, and you can switch out your party members depending on who you've picked up throughout the game. I recommend, from a personal opinion, to play with Alistair, Morgan, and Shale, because when you're running around through a city, they have great commentary with each other, and it is overly entertaining. Brilliantly done. So, they work together great as a team as well, because one's a berserker, one's a defender, one's a healer, and then you have your main character as whatever you chose to do.
So how does that work? Like, do you assign your characters, like, actions, like in Final Fantasy, like the Gambit system, or do you control one individually?
You can actually flop between each of your party members in combat or in cities if you feel like it. If you want to run around as a giant golem, which is what Shale is, and stomp around all the time, go for it.
Tiny people, like, I will crush your house.
During combat, your main character can die. Actually, anybody can die. So if they die, they're out of that battle, and it's up to you and whoever is left to kill off the rest of the baddies, and once everybody's safe, they'll come back. But then they have an injury, and you have to use an injury kit, or they're wounded, sort of, for the rest of the battle.
Okay, well, you've told me a little bit about your ally AIs. What about the enemy AIs? Are they challenging, too challenging, not challenging enough?
It changes. It depends on what part of the game you're in, of course. Some of the bigger bad guys are definitely more challenging and take a couple of dyings to be able to defeat them, because there's some tactics you need to figure out how to do and
that
who
would
you
totally
should kill
be
first.
me dying a lot. And by a lot, I mean, like, probably for 2 weeks. What are some really strong pros and really strong cons for you of the game?
The biggest pro I can think of is the individuality of the game. They set it up really well. It's so individual. It will always change. I mean, you can't play the game the same way twice unless you write down everything you said to somebody and everybody. And that also kind of has the biggest con, because you could sort of change interactions with your own party members and interactions with other people in-game, the AI systems, and it could backfire on you. That's happened to me. One of my party members got really mad at me, and he just was like, I hate you. And I was like, no, why?
So, like, it's fixable over time, or, like, could you do something at the beginning of the game that, like, screws up the whole game for you?
I don't think it's that bad, but it, like with a party member, if you make them really mad, because you have a happy meter with your party members, and if they are down below, they can ditch you. If they don't like you enough, they could be like, peace. And you're like, no.
Don't leave me.
Exactly. So you need to keep them happy by giving them gifts. And certain people like certain
bribery.
gifts.
It always works.
It does, indeed. Especially in this game.
I bribed Kristen with cake. I'm kidding. Alright. Well, that kind of sums it up for me, so buy Dragon Age and play it.
Yes.
Alright.
It's a slightly older game. It was made in 2009, so it won't be too spendy if you go out and buy it. I totally suggest people do if you haven't already played it.
Alright, sweet.
So that's it.
Tell us if you like the video, rate and comment and whatever.
Yeah. Subscribe to our channel, as everyone likes to say at the end of their videos.
Subscribe!
Woo! Because
Okay.
everyone wants to see Tails again.